Michelle Wolf is a comedian that did the White House Correspondents' Dinner this weekend. And for those of you who don't know, that's the gathering of journalists and DC elites where a comedian basically roasts them. And listen, I don't think the dinner should even exist because it shows how the media and the government are way too buddy-buddy with each other. Okay, but that's a whole nother conversation. I digress from that conversation. Just know that I'm on the record as saying this dinner shouldn't even really exist. But here are some highlights of Michelle Wolf's set, and then I'll tell you the reaction in elite circles.
Good evening. Good evening. Here we are, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Like a porn star says when she's about to have sex with a Trump, let's get this over with. And I know as much as some of you might want me to, it's 2018 and I'm a woman, so you cannot shut me up. Unless you have Michael Cohen wire me $130,000. Michael, you can find me on Venmo under my porn star name, Reince Priebus. Of course, Trump isn't here, if you haven't noticed. He's not here. And I know I would drag him here myself, but it turns out the President of the United States is the one you're not allowed to grab. We're gonna try a fun new thing, okay? I'm gonna say Trump is so broke, and you guys go, how broke is he? All right? Trump is so broke. How broke is he? He has to fly failed business class. A lot of people want Trump to be impeached. I do not. Because just when you think Trump is awful, you remember Mike Pence. Mike Pence is what happens when Anderson Cooper isn't gay. I had a lot of jokes about cabinet members, but I had to scrap all of those because everyone has been fired. You guys are going through cabinet members quicker than Starbucks throws out black people. Democrats are harder to make fun of because you guys don't do anything. People think you might flip the House and Senate this November, but you guys always find a way to mess it up. You're somehow gonna lose by 12 points to a guy named Jeff Pedophile Nazi Doctor. We should definitely talk about the women in the Trump administration. There's Kellyanne Conway. Man, she has the perfect last name for what she does. Conway. And of course we have Sarah Huckabee Sanders. We are graced with Sarah's presence tonight. I have to say I'm a little starstruck. I love you as Aunt Lydia on The Handmaid's Tale. Mike Pence, if you haven't seen it, you would love it. Fox News is here, so you know what that means, ladies. Cover your drinks. Seriously. People want me to make fun of Sean Hannity tonight, but I cannot do that. This dinner's for journalists. I watch Morning Joe every morning. We now know that Mika and Joe are engaged. Congratulations, you guys. It's like when a Me Too works out. You guys are obsessed with Trump. Did you used to date him? Because you pretend like you hate him, but I think you love him. And if you're gonna profit off of Trump, you should at least give him some money because he doesn't have any. Trump is so broke, he grabs because he thinks there might be loose change in them. All right, like an immigrant who was brought here by his parents and didn't do anything wrong. I gotta get the out of here. Good night. Flint still doesn't have clean water.
Yeah, so I actually think the writing there was superb. Like, that was pretty hard-hitting material, definitely edgy. Her delivery, not so much. I'm not really a fan of her delivery, but I do think the writing was amazing. And that's an unenviable position where you're in a room full of uptight elitist pricks and you gotta roast them. But they should step into this thing knowing what they're stepping into. But of course, they all clutch their pearls and they act like, oh, you crossed the line. It's comedy. Oh my God, I can't stand the comedy police. They're so fucking bad. They're so goddamn annoying. There's comedy police everywhere, and it's just so... Get over yourself. Get over yourself. So look at this reaction. A consensus emerged Sunday morning that Wolf, quote, took it too far. As Politico's Playbook newsletter put it, several prominent journalists shared similar sentiments on Twitter. Former Trump spokesman Sean Spicer called Wolf's routine a disgrace on Twitter. National Security Advisor John Bolton called it reprehensible on Fox News Sunday. Pause. John Bolton, a guy who's pro-torture, a guy who orchestrated the Iraq War, was one of the biggest cheerleaders for the Iraq War, lied us into a war, never met a war he didn't like, is offended by some mean jokes. The last person I give a fuck what they think and what offends them is John Bolton, because I imagine he takes pleasure from watching babies get bombed. Sean Spicer worked for a guy who's bombing 8 countries and brags about torture. And now it's a disgrace what this person who tells jokes said. You work for a guy who kills people and tortures. Shut the fuck up as to what you think is a disgrace. To be fair, he doesn't work for him anymore. But these guys are unbelievable, and this shows how they view morality in the establishment. You know how elites view morality? Decorum. Don't breach decorum and civility. If you're in polite society, you have to say, hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. How are you today? I'm doing lovely, thank you very much. I like to put my napkin on my lap when I eat. Are we having caviar? That's what they view as morality. Offensive wars against countries that didn't attack us, torture, extreme income inequality, climate change, tax cuts that go to the rich and screw over poor people, cutting Medicaid. They're like, what's the problem? I thought we all agreed to that. That's totally fine. But, oh, did you tell a curse in front of me? Okay, they continue. Trump ally Chris Christie, the former Republican governor of New Jersey, said Wolf had unfairly harped on Sanders' physical appearance. Quote, this female comedian spent more time beating up on women last night than she did on men, Christie said on ABC News this week with George Stephanopoulos. But the criticism extended past the Sanders jokes. The Drudge Report hyperventilated that Wolf made light of abortion and used the words orgasm and Nazi in his morning newsletter for Axios. Mike Allen declared the event a win for Trump over the media. Among other things, Allen complained that Wolf used the word pussy. The horror of naughty words, bad, poop mouth, poop face. What is wrong with you people? You're a parody of yourself. Andrea Mitchell was like, went on Twitter. She went on Twitter. She thought this was such a brilliant thought that all of you should see it. And she said, I think Michelle Wolf owes an apology to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. By the way, why? She told a joke about how Sarah Huckabee Sanders lies a lot and mentioned something about her eyeshadow or whatever. And they're like, oh, insulting a woman's physical appearance. Unbelievable. First of all, she didn't insult her physical appearance. Second of all, even if she did, it would be in the context of a joke. Get the fuck over yourselves. But Andrea Mitchell went on Twitter and said she should apologize. It was disgraceful what happened. Mind you, these are the same motherfucking people that sat in a room when George W. Bush joked about not being able to find WMDs in Iraq. An offensive war against a country that didn't attack us, a minimum 200,000 civilians are dead, and we're illegally occupying that country to this day. And he joked about, where are WMDs? Are they under the table? They're not there. I killed over 200,000 people. Did Andrea Mitchell say, oh my, I'm so offended? No. Because, poor brown Muslims who we massacre with our bombs over there, they don't worry her mind. All she cares about is the people in that room on the fucking cocktail circuit who she rubs elbows with, and they have money and power. So if you offend one of them, that's way worse than Obama joking about drone strikes. You're called the drone king, and 90% of the time you got the wrong people. And you're joking about drone strikes. Now listen, I didn't think those jokes were funny about killing, about the WMDs or about drones. I don't think they're funny. But I'm not going to fucking... Whoa! Let me police your jokes. Because you know what you should actually be outraged about? Those things on their own. Talk about the drone strikes. Talk about the war. The jokes are in bad taste, but it doesn't matter if it's in bad taste. I'm not going to be outraged at the jokes. I'm going to be outraged at the fucking policies. These people, it's not even connected to policy by any stretch of the imagination. It's just you breached decorum in the room full of uptight pricks with sticks up their asses, so you're immoral, you're unethical, you should apologize. And this is across the political spectrum. Ed Henry melted down on Fox News and said it was disgusting. What she did was disgusting, making jokes at powerful people's expense. Andrea Mitchell, I said, same thing. Morning Joe, Mika Brzezinski. These people are, they really are a parody of themselves. That's really what they are. And it's hard to wrap your mind around that such petty people exist. And by the way, that they run the world. They're at a dinner where top government officials mingle with the media. There's already a giant problem there because there's a giant conflict of interest. That's a huge issue. That conflict of interest shouldn't exist. You shouldn't be buddy-buddy with the people you're supposed to hold accountable and talk about how they're doing unconstitutional things and what they're doing is wrong. So the dinner really shouldn't exist in the first place. But then the fact that it's basically a roast and then they get roasted and then they're like, I'm offended and let's talk about this. By the way, let me just tell you something. It's really important. Now, we don't have all the details on this yet, which is why I'm not covering it in this show. But there was an attack in Afghanistan. It's either the Taliban or ISIS, we don't know who yet, did a few bombings. 10 journalists were killed in the bombings, and there were children, at least 5 children who were killed as well. So bombings were happening all over Afghanistan, and that was last night. And by the way, in Syria, Israel just bombed a Syrian base, and initially there were reports of at least a dozen Iranians who were killed in that bombing. That would be a spark between a war between Iran and Israel, which could snowball into like a World War III situation where Russia backs Iran, we back Israel. There are so many important things happening. Illegal bombings from Israel and Syria, fucking terror attacks in Afghanistan. A journalist did an awesome tweet earlier today. He said, I turned on CNN to see more about the 10 journalists who were just killed. You know what they were talking about? How offended they were at the White House correspondent's comedian. But listen, I shouldn't even be complaining because they're why we're successful. Because you all see that they're thin-skinned, petty little bitches who have moral and ethical compasses that are beyond shattered, beyond broken. They don't bat an eyelash at offensive wars or torture or any of the things they should care about. Extreme poverty, 45,000 people dying every year in the U.S. from not having health care. That doesn't even cross their mind for a second. They're fine. Their friends are fine. They have money. Their friends have money. So what's really immoral to them is you making a joke at their expense. And by the way, they get offended because it hits a little too close to home. Because a lot of what she said is true. So, the more people shit on her, the more I like her. And everybody on Fox News who always, and this is what they do, they talk about snowflakes on the left and college campus safe spaces and microaggressions. Get over yourself, facts over feelings. Well, now you have a comedian who attacks the powerful. Mike Huckabee is one of them, and a bunch of Fox News contributors and hosts are like, oh, she should apologize. Oh my God, this is disgraceful. Okay, if you're gonna yell about when the left gets offended by jokes and how that's wrong, shut the fuck up if you get offended by jokes and you're on the right. Shut the fuck up. Don't be a goddamn hypocrite. They're all hypocrites. I can't stand them. The right-wing snowflakes, the elitists in the media. Get over yourselves. Fix your moral compass. Because you guys really are a joke. People who care about real issues that affect people look at you and are stunned by your ignorance and your stupidity.